Hey, this is Todd, and this is May 25th, 2009. And I'm going to start a little video diary of my square foot garden. Let's see. I guess first we'll start with the main one. This is the biggest box I built. Built a 8-foot, about 5-foot tall trellis on the back. I've got snap peas and string bean, Kentucky Blue Lake, coming up with that pretty well. I just harvested a whole bowl full of snap peas off of that vine. Been gone for 3 days, so we went to the beach over the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, so it's not very well tended right now, but I'm going to get to it this week and get it straightened back up pretty good. And these little tomato plants I started from seed. They're, I'd say, probably close to 4 foot tall now. I started them toward the latter part of February, 1st of March from seed. And like I said, those are Romas, and actually if you look close, you can see, let's see, there's one right there, little Roma tomatoes. And there's about probably maybe 4 or 5 on there. I saw some earlier. I have to dig around in there a little bit to find them, but they're in there. This one is my little grape tomato plants. I actually started those 2 from seed, and I'd say they're about maybe about 2 foot tall now. And this is putting them in the ground toward the latter part of February up to May 25th. This plant here in the bucket was actually a sucker tomato plant. Let's see if I can get a little better shot of it. It's already close to 3 feet tall. Came off of a sucker, off of a part hybrid part whopper. There's also a little sucker plant. These 2 are, it's either broccoli or cauliflower. Actually, I got 2 of broccoli and 2 of cauliflower. I'm not sure which is which, but we'll know soon. I didn't mark them too well. Got some little okra on this end. There's 1 plant and 2 plant, and there's another one hidden right here in my zinnias right there. 3. There's some kohlrabi. I've got about 8 little kohlrabi plants right through there. Now the reason my beans are yellow, I sprayed some Murphy oil soap. I had some little critters eating on the leaves. I think it did more damage than the critters would have done. So next year I'll know not to spray any kind of quote-unquote healthy herbicide on them. Didn't really work. Burn them up. I'll show you a little bit later where it burnt my squash up too. Still growing, but it burned it up. It was so pretty till it burned up. Anyway, I've got about 7 little broccoli plants here. As you can see, they're pretty tall. Over the weekend they were blemish free, and I come back home and there's little green worms that have been eating on the leaves. So I found 3 or 4 today. I smashed them as soon as I saw them, and I checked the plants over, so hopefully it's isolated. It's mainly that big one in the back and the other little small one there. The rest of them seem okay. And let's see, a little bit of Swiss chard. As you can see, I've been harvesting that pretty good, and it's coming right back as soon as I harvest it. This is my 2nd wave of radishes. I've got 2 plots. I've already grown 1, pulled them up, tilled the soil a little bit, put some organic in it, and come a 2nd group. And I'm not sure exactly when those have been planted. Got another little group of radish. That's the big one. This is my squash. This one didn't get burned up too bad, but as you can see, the leaves on this one kind of burnt. The soap burned it up. I guess vegetable oil soap, Murphy's oil soap, and water. Don't do it. just let the plants eat a few, or let the plants get eaten. Let's see. We got some beans here. More beans. 2nd wave over there. The 1st group. I planted these way behind the 1st group. This is Madison. Onions, got about 8 onions in the ground, and I actually got pretty big onions on them. I've already dug down there a little bit and checked them out. That's this little flower garden. It's all flowers up in there. That is the strawberry patch, and we've gotten, about I'd say maybe 10 to 15 good strawberries so far, still blooming. Try to keep it netted so the birds don't get it. And the strawberries, they're, I guess the second or third year they do better. The first year they're okay, but it's not really a good producing crop. And over here comes the little, it's not really a square foot garden, it's really a container garden and a trellis. And if you see what I've done, I put tomato plants in between the fence and the trellis. So I bury the tomato plants in actually a grill, both halves of a old grill that was sitting out in the yard rusting. So I just broke the grill apart, filled it with organic, compost and some soil, and buried them in the ground and planted my tomatoes. Well, they're up probably about 2.5, 3 feet, climbing up these 6 feet stakes. Hopefully they'll get to the top. Those are better boys. And a little bit of basil and sage, and I think that's cilantro right there. Coming up in a little pot. This is my little banana pepper, the first big one. There's also a few little small ones on there too. Bell peppers are right here. Haven't seen any small bell peppers yet. Actually, there's a tomato on the bed, the park whopper right there. And there's also, I think, maybe one or two on the other plants on the pool deck up there. Alright, last little garden, squash, and let's see, that is cucumbers on the first 4 plots there. They're starting to climb up the trellis. This is about a 6-foot trellis and 8 foot wide. As you can see, it's pretty long, it's pretty high. There's Madison, so it's pretty high. Squash, burn them up on the bottom leaves. The top leaves are coming out pretty good. I won't ever again spray vegetable oil and soap on plants to kill a bug. These are 3 little watermelons plots, 1, 2, 3 on this side, and on the other side is cantaloupe, 1, 2, 3. They're vining that pretty good. Eventually I'll start training them up the trellis and we'll have some cantaloupe and watermelon. Compost, something very interesting coming out my compost. There's a tomato plant there. That's just from a cutting that I threw in my compost to try to compost it. And the other side has a bigger tomato coming out the other side. It's just a root cutting, actually a sucker plant, and it's getting on up there. I'm just going to leave it alone and see what it does. And let's see, what else do we have to show you? Nothing much over here except a little compost, worm bed, more or less. I'm about out of compost, so I'm actually having to work some more. Not a whole lot down there to work with, but I don't really need a whole lot more. This is not basil, but oregano, and it's coming up nicely in a little planter there. This trellis I got from CVS where I work. It's actually a little wind chime rack they use during the spring, and when the wind chimes sell they throw them in the trash. So I got it, and it's climbing up my, now these bean plants, man, it's just standing right there next to that thing. Let me show them how tall those snap pea plants are. Stand right up there in the corner. Stand right up in the corner. Yep, get close. Alright, Madison is probably half tall. 4 foot. Alright, she's 4 foot, and the top of the, let's see if I can get a better shot. The top of the snap peas are probably close to, they're taller than me, and I'm 6 foot. They're probably close to 8 feet tall. That's the top of snap peas coming up over the top of that. So that's pretty cool. Snap peas did really well. I'm just going to leave them alone to see what they do. Alright, that's about a 9-minute video. Not much more to show out here. I'll probably do this again another month. Hopefully we'll be pulling some tomatoes and cucumbers possibly out by then. And that's about it. Oh, one more thing to show before I go. This is called a pokeweed. It's actually edible. It's a herb, and it's close to 10 feet tall. It's right there. It comes up wild every year. And I've never ate pokeweed salad, but I hear it's edible. And there's his brother and sister right over there. It's not quite as tall. It's about 4 feet tall, but they're growing right along the fence where the honeysuckle vine is just kind of taking over there, which is fine. I kind of like the smell of honeysuckle, but alright, compost pile pool, and that's it. Signing off.
I was going to show my rotten